Hi, my name is Roy Artman. I'm the General Counsel for the Kansas Building Industry Workers' Compensation Fund here in Topeka, Kansas. I have been with the fund for about 7 years now. Before that, I practiced in private practice in Lawrence, Kansas, and in the areas of workers' compensation since 1995. When I first came to the fund back in 1993, I became familiar with the OPC testing out of Salina, Kansas, and within a very short time became sold on the services that they provide. We here at the fund utilize the OPC testing on a weekly, if not daily basis in the handling of our claims. First and foremost, if there's been an injury and we've had that particular injured worker tested through OPC, we get the testing results and we will feed that to the treating physicians. One, I think it's very important that the treating physicians have an understanding of where that injured worker was at baseline before the injury. That way they don't spend countless hours and money in respect to rehabilitating someone to a standard that they weren't actually before prior to the injury. So we believe that reduces our long-term costs of physical therapy, rehabilitation to get that claimant back to the point where they were prior to the injury. The second way we utilize the results would be in the settlement of the claim, and it's very important to understand that Kansas allows for a credit or a discount for any pre-existing impairment that the injured worker may have had prior to the injury. In order to get that discount, you have to document that particular injured worker's condition at the time of hire. So we strongly encourage our member insureds to have all their workers tested. One, to get a baseline to understand any pre-existing impairment that worker may have, and two, also to get an understanding of what that particular individual worker's capabilities are. I think if you properly match your worker with the work they're going to be doing, you're going to reduce the actual number of injuries that you'll suffer on the job. Now, with respect to the discount and the impairment rating, it is, again, very important that you must document that. And what we do in our company is once we have an injured worker report a claim, we get them through that rehabilitation process, we will provide any impairment ratings information we may obtain through the OPC testing to our physician, and we ask that they take that into consideration in determining a final impairment rating with respect to this particular injury. Now, all the time I'm asked, is this something that stands up in court? Well, quite frankly, about 90% of our claims do not end up in court. It's that small, rare 10% that we actually litigate, and in that 10%, typically this is not the issue. Now, we utilize the OPC testing, the rating, every day, every week in determining the impairment rating that is attributable to the injury, and more often than not, our claimants accept that. They understand that there's been pre-existing impairment in their past. They see it documented in black and white. It's been provided to the doctor. He's taken it into consideration and he's discussed it with our injured worker, and we come to a fair determination of what their impairment rating is. Those cases are settled and we're done. So in that respect, we do utilize the testing process to reduce our claims costs. Now, out of that 10% that actually gets litigated, typically it's a complicated process. We may have our rating from our doctor, which takes into account the pre-existing impairment. All too often, the claimant and their attorney will seek out the opinions of very specific doctors to obtain a much higher rating. And sometimes we can come to a resolution, a compromise, maybe meet in the middle to get the case resolved. Other times we're so far apart that we are forced to go to the court, and the judges often utilize an independent or neutral position who has the ability to take in consideration all the records and render a final opinion. So again, we utilize the OPC testing, the process on a weekly, if not daily basis in the handling of our claims. And I'd highly recommend it to anybody that would be interested in the OPC testing process.